How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Crypto Clout. I am your host, FaZe Crypto, and today we are going to be talking about Electroneum, which now we're seeing in the number 92 position on CoinMarketCap, which is pretty exciting to see. And of course, I think that this is a pretty good opportunity. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody, as well. We're going to be talking about the implications of how Electroneum could really have potential to be a cryptocurrency giant in the coming years, as we've been seeing this trend of cryptocurrency and mobile, and essentially the unholy connection between cryptocurrency and the cell phone sector that is really sort of gaining some traction, and really an interesting thing of that I love to discuss. I could basically talk for hours about the future of how we're going to be seeing a lot of these different things making a pretty big impact as cryptocurrency continues to come into its own. And along the same line, we're going to be seeing some pretty interesting movement when it comes down to actually how digital currencies are going to be really seeing the platform that's made available by smartphones and the infrastructure that's already there when it comes to all these different cell phone aspects and these different things. But first, I think one of the most central things about Electroneum can really be summarized with banking the unbanked. I think that this is definitely a huge opportunity that opens up really some big doors as far as looking forward to seeing what Electroneum is going to be bringing. As far as this next couple of years, looking at like 2020, 2021, I know those years sound like they're far away, but in reality, it's very much right around the corner. Just the other day, I was at a store, and they were basically using technology that wasn't far off from what we've been talking about on this channel all along. And I think that right now, that with all these things happening, I mean, we're starting to see a buzz all around the world with the international community. And I think when it comes to mass adoption, Electroneum's ahead of the game in a large sector of basically usability. And I think that this is in part due to how they've basically been able to structure themselves up until this point, which in totality is going to be having some serious influences on the way that a lot of the other cryptocurrencies continue to operate. So with this video, we've got the market cap at 182,946. Of course, Bitcoin dominance at 55.7, and looking at the top performers of the day is always an interesting indication as far as just basically, I like to do this just to get a peek into the future. I mean, Bitcoin has basically been able to maintain itself at 5,763, which is of course a confidence booster and definitely has an impact on morale. While we basically were seeing Bitcoin in the mud at that $3,000 level for quite a while, but the fact that it's been able to maintain that momentum has basically solidified itself with that potential as far as seeing how a cryptocurrency could actually be that alternative store of value. And I think that proof is in the pudding in that same concept. But right now the top performers, we've got Horizon, Aurora, Chainlink, Ravencoin. I believe Decentraland was up quite higher earlier, but then we got Electroneum, of course, and it is definitely an interesting time to be paying attention to the cryptocurrency phenomenon, and essentially what it means to be moving into the next area of the internet, and how a lot of these different things are going to be playing a really significant role in the overall smartphone revolution that's happening and has basically already happened. I don't think anybody would argue that the smartphone revolution has already taken place, but I don't think anybody is actually able to predict what's going to happen right around the corner without at least mentioning in passing the significance of what cryptocurrency is actually going to bring to the table when it comes to this full conversion over to the digital, and basically the necessity that smartphones are going to be playing as far as the major role that they're going to be bringing to the table in that same respect. I think in the same sentence, people are basically forced to sort of reconsider how blockchain is going to be affecting a lot of these different things. And I think in that same context, it really does open the door for something like Electroneum. And now right around the corner, I think we'll be seeing a lot of mainstream articles that'll be definitely discussing the significance of basically banking the unbanked, and how this is really going to be opening up a lot of doors for the international community, which I'm very excited about. And I think in that same context, it's definitely one of those things that is sort of a reflection of what the internet was originally created for. And it certainly is opening up a lot of doors as far as the next generation of e-commerce and the next generation of how we're going to be seeing entrepreneurial, basically entrepreneurs springing up and making it much more possible and seamless for these people to work and basically find success and happiness and all these different things, which is also something pretty exciting. And it's definitely a victory for a lot of people who might otherwise have never even seen something like this happen in their lifetime. But of course, looking at some of these articles, we've got Winklevoss twins are giving away 1 Bitcoin after Tron's. That's a pretty interesting article right there. Bitcoin price will hit 6,500 market in near term. It was another interesting article. Bitcoin surges 400%. On CoinStats, of course, interesting article right there. Bitcoin inheritance, what happens to your crypto after you're gone, which is pretty interesting. All those interesting articles and more. And of course we've got Bitcoin relieve weighting can be measured against that global GDP. This is definitely an interesting article. I think we could structure a lot of talking points off of this, which I think are certainly relevant to the topic of this conversation, that we're basically looking forward to seeing how Electroneum and a lot of these different cryptocurrencies are going to be reshaping the way that a lot of people approach the cryptocurrency space. But this article goes on to say, in the recent interview discussion with Bill Bardai, the CEO of Abra, Tim and Adam Draper, the father and son venture capitalists, discussed their experiences with Bitcoin and where it was headed for. And of course, in the interview, Adam Draper indicated that the concept of a Lightning Network and open node would eventually play key roles in the future adoption of Bitcoin. Tim Draper, who recently invested in open node, believed that the technology would make the lives of easier, Bitcoin adoption and all these different things. But what I wanted to really give some attention to is this quote right here. When you think about it, Bitcoin is not a commodity; it's a computer program that actually generates other computer programs. That's how you move Bitcoin. You actually create small Bitcoin scripts. They're called, that's a computer program. Why are we calling it a commodity? That's insane. Now, I think that definitely does bring up a pretty interesting debate about how people view cryptocurrency and how we've basically been using old definitions to fit in with something that's a completely new model. And I think that with intangibility being a factor, and of course this is interesting to look at as well. Bitcoin adds a 0 every 2 years, is pretty funny. But I mean, I think as we're moving forward, we'll definitely be seeing, that debate coming to the forefront, which is of course, going to be pretty interesting. And, of course, regulations will support growth of cryptocurrency market. Whether you believe that or not, this article definitely is, an interesting indication that the, powers that be are paying close attention to cryptocurrency. And of course, regulations are something that, I mean, it's sort of a double-edged sword, something that we need, but to move forward. But at the same time, it's definitely something that's I'm sure being relented by a lot of people, and with good reason. And I think that this is all very relevant to the situation that we're seeing happening, and of course the global economy basically meshing with a lot of these different variables, which is something that I think we really can't overlook. The fact of the matter is that something like Electroneum really, when it gets ignored, the companies sort of do themselves an injustice, because it certainly is a technology that's going to be reshaping the way that a lot of people function, in the near future. So all that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I mean, I think that we've done a lot of interesting points that we've covered. It is interesting to see people like Elon Musk and all these different important figures who have been turning their head and basically giving that platform to the conversation about cryptocurrency, which is always important. And I think that it's definitely going to service a lot of forward momentum as things move forward. But of course, remember, this video is for entertainment, educational purposes only. Of course, this video is not financial advice or anything like that. If you guys are interested in connecting with us and providing us feedback, you could connect with us on Twitter. That's at CryptoTuber. And of course, remember, I'm not your dad, so make sure that you do your own research on these things and don't listen to anybody. But all that being said, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure that you guys subscribe and comment down below. And I am fairly bullish on the potential that Electroneum has moving forward, and I think that it's a great thing.